Hello and welcome to This is Public Broadcasting. I'm your host, Captain Rutledge. In the early 2000s, one animated series stood apart from the rest of the PBS Kids show lineup due to its action and violence. That being Redwall. Based off Brian Jacques' original novels, the Redwall animated series follows the adventures of the Woodlanders of Redwall Abbey, defending their home and family against invaders and evildoers. The first season had the young novice Matthias searching for the legendary sword of Martin the Warrior, while the entire abbey is laid siege by Clooney the Scourge. In the second season, Matthias' son Matameo is kidnapped by Slagar the Cruel, leading to a search party tracking down a band of slavers as the abbey is once again held hostage by the army of General Ironbeak. The final season was a prequel, exploring the origins of Martin the Warrior. Originally, PBS Kids passed up the opportunity of airing the series due to its heavy subject matter, but American Public Television happily picked up the series and sold it to individual member stations with educational wraparounds featuring author Brian Jacques. Still, I feel we should closely examine the darker moments of this series by counting down the top 10 darkest scenes in the entire series. Keep in mind, though, that there will be significant spoilers ahead. Fasten your swords and pack up for adventure, because these are the top 10 darkest Redwall moments. Starting out the list is the opening to From Marshes to Mountain Heights. In the previous episode, Martin, Rose, Palom, and Grum were saved from cannibal lizards by the Warden of Marshwood Hill. The Warden himself is portrayed as somewhat of a gray character. His main devotion? The law. What is the law? We never learn. Perhaps it's just a way to suit his own means. Anyhow, while camping that night, the slowworms, once allied with the cannibal lizards, take their revenge against the Warden, trying to strangle him in his sleep. Thankfully for the Warden, Martin is able to raise the alarm and fight off the worms, saving the Warden's life. The dark matter here is a character being asphyxiated in his sleep. Thankfully, the other characters are able to intervene, but still, a decently dark opening to this list. Vitch was introduced at the start of Matameo as a minor antagonist, essentially a sniveling, cowardly bully meant to torment Matameo and his friends. Over the course of the series, he proves to be fiercely loyal to Slagar, mostly for the feeling of power over others, at least until Slagar betrays him in the end. Essentially, Vitch viewed Slagar as a father figure, only to be forced into slavery while Slagar looks apathetically on, worried more about his payment from Malarus. When the city is destroyed, Vitch manages to escape and is granted mercy by Matthias and Matameo, but in the end is strangled to death by Slagar, killed by the very fox he once admired. Talk about ironically dark.
This little rat! Slagar never misses!
During the episode Battle Plans, the Redwallers put together a large crossbow, planning on using it to assassinate Clooney.
Hush. Sorry.
Naturally, the whole affair is kept stumm from the abbot. Too bad it isn't kept stumm from Clooney himself. Clooney's spy Kilkenny spills the beans, but instead of hiding, Clooney comes up with his own plan, sending his dim-witted underling Cheese Thief into his tent under pretense of studying battle plans. Poor Cheese Thief is none the wiser, helping himself to Clooney's drink and cheese, and putting on his armor.
got him.
The poor rat never saw it coming. Although we never see the arrow run him through, we do see him fall over in death and witness his dead body brought out of Clooney's tent. So much for Cheese Thief, but the dirty rat had it coming.
So perish all traitors.
While Martin is away gaining support to rise up against the fortress of Marshank, his friends Feldo and Brome join a troupe of performers to fight against Marshank's cruel tyrant, Lord Badrang. Feldo, who had been enslaved by Badrang all his life, made harsh attacks against Badrang, trying to make the Stoat's life a living hell. This all comes to a head as Badrang and Feldo meet mano a mano. Feldo, the better fighter, gains the upper hand, until...
Any last words, Lord Badrang?
Marshank! Marshank! Marshank!
Badrang had this planned all along. Upon the word Marshank, Badrang's vermin hordes came out of hiding and viciously slew Feldo, as both Brome and Feldo's father Barkjawn looked on helplessly. I'd like to add here the original novel, where Feldo actually slew scores of Badrang's vermin before being slain himself. Feldo was born in hatred against Badrang, and died that way as well.
My brave son has gone to the Silent Forest, where he'll always be free.
Oh no!
They can't hurt him anymore.
Back to Matameo. During the trek to Malarus, Matameo and the other slaves managed to escape their bonds and try to make a break for it. Fleaback was supposed to be keeping watch, but let down his guard. Let's just say Slagar wasn't happy over the matter. When these slavers and their recaptured slaves make it to the Toplands, Slagar has a little confrontation with Fleaback.
Back at the river, when I left you in charge of the prisoners, that meant you were to let none escape. There's no room in my band for blunderers. So I'm afraid you'll have to go!
Say what you will about the censorship of violence in the series, but arguably not seeing what happens makes things all the more disturbing. Just look at Three Claw's reaction. Unbeknownst to Slagar, the disposal of Fleaback led the Redwallers hot on his trail. Basil Staghair put it best.
One of those Stoat fellows didn't make it. Either he thought he could fly, or he missed his paw hold. Ugh! Stumbling across him nearly put me off my supper, it did. I say, chaps, what is for supper?
With the help of the Gauzim shrews, Matthias is able to find the lair of the snake Asmodeus in his quest to find Martin the Warrior's sword. Quite by accident, he, Logolog, and Gauzim fall into the snake's lair, forced to navigate a series of tunnels and keep their heads in the mounting tension and fear of the snake's approach. Sadly, Gauzim doesn't make it. Eventually, Matthias and Logolog find the sword hidden behind the sleeping serpent. As soon as he awakens, though, the chase is on through the tunnels until the two are cornered. Asmodeus lures Matthias into a hypnotic demise, until the spirit of Martin and the remaining Gauzim shrews coax Matthias out of his trance, killing the snake in one fell swoop. We don't see the sword hit through, but we do see the adder's severed head fall and the eyes go dark. All the moments in this mysterious cave, the threat of impending death, all make these scenes darkly mysterious, never knowing what may approach and when it will. Definitely a decent addition to these dark moments.
Surrender my sword, mouse.
Take it, Poison Tooth.
Throughout the episodes of Redwall, it's implied that the spirit of Martin the Warrior is causing Clooney the Scourge, to suffer nightmares during the siege of Redwall, all featuring a hooded mouse wielding a sword. Each one is as dark as the next. After having Martin's tapestry stolen from the Abbey Great Hall and using it as his standard, Clooney's nightmares begin. He stands in awe of the tapestry as flames surround him, a hooded mouse stepping through the flames, drawing his sword and smiting the sea rat where he stands.
Murder!
Even when he's awake, the nightmare still plays out.
Are you all right, Chief? Ah! What are you all staring at?
Another nightmare sees Clooney being chased by the hooded mouse, forced up a tall tower as his underlings snarl and revolt against him, mirroring his captains plotting to overthrow him.
Get away from me, you utter scum!
A final, even more menacing nightmare has Clooney being chased down a tunnel by the skeletons of his fallen captains, only to run into an armored mouse about to smite him once more. Each subsequent nightmare mirrors Clooney's deteriorating mental state the longer he continues his siege of the Abbey. Not to mention Martin's effect on evildoers trying to conquer the peaceful Abbey dwellers. We even see similar effects on Menges the Seer during the subsequent season.
My eye within is blurred, blocked by an earth crawler, a strangely dressed mouse with a sword.
Clooney's nightmares, though, remain the darkest effects.
And that is...
Back to my dreams! Spectre!
I have come for you, Clooney.
The subterranean city of Malarus was built out of the remains of Loam Hedge Abbey, where the original Order of Redwall originated. In the years since its desertion, a cult of rats set up their own slave-based city, with commands delivered from their leader Nadaz, via a large polecat statue named Malarus. You'd probably think Malarus is a vengeful spirit, or a powerful warlord. While Matthias and his friends fight off the cult of Malarus, a basket is secretly lowered from the statue down a ledge. When Matthias falls off the ledge and lands on the basket, we see what is inside. A hideous, insane polecat calling himself Malarus.
All who look upon Malarus must die!
All the slaves eventually behold their pathetic master, and with no protection, the polecat is gruesomely stoned to death, struggling a few final words before dying a painful death. It suits all the misery the polecat had caused during his misspent life, but is still an extremely dark way to go. While Martin, Feldo, and Brome made their escape from the prison pit of Marshank, Lord Badrang's enemy, Captain Clog, made an attack on Marshank, trying to take it and its slaves for himself. Meanwhile, Badrang's fox captain Scul Rag led an attempt to sabotage Clog's ship and longboats. Unluckily for Scul Rag, Clog's men returned and took him prisoner. Clog eventually returns him on one condition.
I'll do anything!
Anything? Then listen now. Here's what you'll do.
Badrang tortures information out of Scul Rag regarding Clog and the escaped slaves, and we can assume he also tortured out the bargain between the two. The novel had Scul Rag used as target practice by Badrang's archers, left to fester and rot in the main yard of Marshank with little remorse. The TV series, for censorship purposes, couldn't show that. But what they did have was, in my opinion, much darker. As Clog and Badrang forge an uneasy alliance, we see Scul Rag dangling from a rope over the main gates, being tickled by Badrang's guards. As Clog leaves the fortress, Scul Rag's laughter gives way to terror, and a sudden thud leaves absolute silence. It's what we don't see that makes this another dark moment.
Gorad, you nimwit! You were supposed to kill Clog, not let that slimy sea rat kill you! Ah!
I'll back me, bucko. You were supposed to kill Badrang, not get yourself done in.
It's the painted ones! Run!
Here we come to the top spot, and essentially what rolled the events of the Matameo series into motion. While Slagar's band stops for rest on their escape from Redwall, Three-Claw takes Matameo aside for a personal audience with Slagar. Here, Slagar reveals his backstory and his connections to Matameo's father, Matthias.
Matthias, the great Redwall warrior, betrayed my sainted mother to a horrible, undeserving death. And she was no more than a humble healer.
Matameo, though, recalls the story as told by Matthias, but Slagar has none of it. Eventually, the dots are drawn together. The healer of whom Slagar spoke was Sela the Vixen, his mother, making him Chicken Hound. Now, in the events of Redwall, after wounding Methuselah, Chicken Hound made his escape but ran into Asmodeus, who bit into the fox's face, injecting venom and nearly killing him. Thankfully, Chicken Hound learned a few herbal remedies from his mother and was able to survive, at the expense of his own sanity. His mind was warped and tormented. He grew aggressive, he sought revenge, he became Slagar. And then there is the image that was ingrained in the eyes of all children who watched this episode.
I am Chicken Hound, and your father did this to me!
The dead eye, the swollen flesh, the matted fur, all creating a horrifying display. And just as Slagar had suffered, revenge is his for the taking. By kidnapping the son of the one who caused all his torment, the son of Matthias. With his dark backstory and near-death trauma helping move the plot of Matameo into motion, I feel the Magician Revealed takes the top spot as the darkest Redwall moment.
Matthias, warrior of Redwall, will know pain when his only son is made to suffer as Slagar has suffered.
So, those are my picks for the top 10 darkest Redwall moments. Can you think of any others? Feel free to list them in the comments below. And moving right along, for less darker fare, it's time for the PBS Member Station Spotlight. Let's see who we get this time. Up to the frozen north for Twin Cities PBS. Twin Cities Public Television started out in 1955 with its first station, KTCA, operating from the University of Minnesota Agricultural Campus. In 1965, a second station, KTCI, was formed, and 1967 saw KTCA as the first educational television station to broadcast in color. In 1970, both stations joined with a new public broadcasting service, and in 1977 formed Twin Cities Public Television. In 2000, TPT began airing digital broadcasts, and in 2015 rebranded to Twin Cities PBS. Programming in Twin Cities PBS includes local programs such as Almanac, Relish, Outside Chance, Long Lost, and Minnesota Niche, along with nationally broadcast shows like Make Television, Newton's Apple, Dragonfly TV, Psy Girls, and Hero Elementary. Additionally, Twin Cities PBS produces the Minnesota Channel, dedicated to programming related to Minnesota and Wisconsin. Today, Twin Cities PBS offers PBS programming to the Twin Cities Metro, along with Mankato and St. James. If you are in the Twin Cities area, you can tune into Twin Cities PBS on Channel 2, with the Minnesota Channel on the .2 channel, TPT Life on the .3, PBS Kids on the .4, and 24/7 Weather on the .5 channel. Thank you again to everyone for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, feel free to like, subscribe, and share, and all that other spiel. But don't forget to support your local PBS stations. Some more programming related to Redwall can find its way to your television screens. And until next time, I'm Captain Rutledge. Good day.
And please remember, if one day you happen to be passing Redwall Abbey, be sure to visit us.